book, our constitution, protects our society and empowers us to govern. The Protea leaves are us, the people, who freely elect our voices in Parliament. The drum calls the people of Parliament, through whom we govern together. And the sun is our country, healing our past, improving our lives, and energizing our potential. Together, our constitution, our people, our parliament, and our country are building our great South African nation. Parliament TV, channel 408 on DSTV.
Welcome to Parliament TV right here on DSTV channel 408. We are live from Parliament TV studio here in Cape Town. Mnganga-Gcabashe. Now you can also join the conversation and engage with our discussions on all social media platforms at Parliament of RSA. The Constitution of the Republic of South Africa states that Parliament is the national legislature and that it has the power to make laws for the country. With the legislative power vested within it, Parliament also bears the responsibility to oversee the actions of the executive and improve public participation and involvement through its various committees. The Portfolio Committee on Tourism is but one of many committees of Parliament that is tasked with exercising oversight, holding the executive to account, and ensuring that challenges within the tourism sector are attended to. The chairperson of that committee is Ms. Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe. Let's get to know the chairperson a little better.
My name is Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe. I'm the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism and the National Assembly. We would like to see the tourism being accepted to all communities, urban and rural. We would like to have a situation where the tourism is seen as something that is for the elite or people who can afford. Tourism is there in the rural areas. It's just that it must be accessible to the communities in rural areas. And in fact, most of the tourism destinations are in rural setup provinces, part of the setup of certain provinces in rural areas. And it should not be too costly or expensive for an ordinary citizen of South Africa in a particular province to access a tourism destination, but also to know our own, to tour our own country, not only to go beyond the borders, but not knowing our own country. We would like, as a committee, to see a situation where South Africans prioritize to tour their own country before they go abroad.
That was Ms. Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism. She joins us in studio to unpack the work of the committee, tourism in South Africa, and challenges that the industry faces. Chair, thank you so much for making the time.
You're most welcome. Good morning.
Chair, let's talk about the role and importance of the committee, of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism.
The Portfolio Committee on Tourism is responsible to oversight the Department of Tourism and its entity, the South African Tourism. The department has only one entity that I have mentioned, which is the South African Tourism. But in the process, the department, although it has only one entity, has to work with other departments like Home Affairs, Department of Transport, and the Department on Police. name the few, and also the environmental department as well.
Now, with that, Chair, I know that at the beginning of the 7th administration, the committee was handed the legacy report from the 6th administration's committee. What are some of the standing issues that the committee is still grappling with that emanate from that report?
The first one was to deal with the legacy report, as we have mentioned, and also the immediate one was to receive the audit office report. The committee was addressed by the AG's office on the outcome of audit conducted by the audit office in both the Department of Tourism and its entity, the South African Tourism.
Now, with that then, Chair, after having looked at the legacy report, having received the AG's report, what are some of the key priorities or goals for the 7th committee, your committee now for the 7th administration?
The first part was for us to observe that the Department of Tourism did receive a clean audit, which is something that we commend the department and the minister,
yes,
Ms. Patricia de Lille. However, the South African entity regress for the 2023-24 oversight audit report. We then ask the entity, the South African Tourism, to develop an action plan that will talk to how are they going to remedy the situation that and issues that were highlighted by the Auditor General's office. They have since done that. We asked them that we need them to come to the portfolio committee and report progress on quarterly basis, as we have our meetings on weekly basis, but for them to be able to report something tangible, they'll have to report quarterly. We are aware that they've reported, they've started that, they've presented the action plan. Some issues are in progress, some that are towards the finalization.
And Chair, can you just briefly share with us some of the action plan that the department developed to ensure that the challenges within this entity are attended to?
One, the important one are weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings between the department and the entity, looking at each and every item that was highlighted on the auditor's report, the AG's report, but also making sure that they develop mechanism to assist the entity to correct the wrongs. The third part is that the second part, or the third part, is that the entity is led by the board, and the board must be also on hands-on.
Yes.
Because the minister has oversight powers on the board, but the board is the direct executive, if shall I say, use that word, over the CEO and the management and the entire entity. And then the DG, time to time, assisting the minister and the relevant Deputy Director General responsible for the entity. But they cannot do that without assisting the minister, because they have no direct contact on daily basis with the entity. It's the board that has a direct, which is appointed by the minister, that have direct contact on daily basis with the entity. the runnings of the entity.
And Chair, we understand that the board was put together by in the sixth administration, and there were challenges there, especially with regards to the vacancies within South African tourism. Are those challenges, have they been overcome by the department working together with the entity?
I will say to some extent, yes, because it was also highlighted on the auditor's report in the question of some vacancies, and then the minister has since made changes, and I wouldn't go deeper on those because the minister have been on news addressing those issues. Suffice to say that there is a new chairperson, and we have all the confidence and number of other members that have been on the board, that there were changes in terms of the roles that were playing or the tasks that were given to them. But there's a continuity within the work of the board.
And with that, Chair, with the work that has been done, the solutions that have been implemented, is the committee satisfied so far with the work that the department has done together with the entity?
Yes, the department came before the portfolio committee together with the entity yesterday, and the portfolio committee so far is happy with the progress that we have seen. We've seen that issues that were addressed at the previous portfolio committees and the advice that were given to them by the portfolio committee, they are being attended to by the department and the entity. And the board chairperson was the one who led the South African tourism delegation.
And so far, Chair, I know it's only been a few months that the committee has been established and it's been doing its work, and much of that work was capacitating yourselves with the work of the department, with the work of the entity, so that you are resourced and you know enough to hold them accountable. What are some of the committee's achievements so far with regards to overseeing the function of the department?
The first one will be that we've been able to have a white paper on tourism development and promotion in South Africa, which was gazetted in October 2024, having it presented to the committee. What we have observed is that this white paper will have ramifications to the current Act on Tourism, Act number 3 of 2014. The committee looks forward to the process of aligning that act, of aligning rather the policy and the legislation.
Now, of course, South Africa boasts a diverse tourism industry that is vibrant and offers a wide range of experience for visitors. From the busy economic hubs of the country to the Drakensberg Mountains located in the eastern part of South Africa, and the breathtakingly stunning natural landscapes of the Kruger National Park and the Garden Route, South Africa is a popular tourist destination. The Portfolio Committee on Tourism is responsible for exercising scrutiny and overseeing the Department of Tourism. Here are some of the deliberations from the committee meetings. You are still tuned into Parliament TV, and if you've just joined us, welcome. We are in studio with Ms. Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism, who has already spoken about the Tourism White Paper, which focuses on promoting safety and security, facilitating ease of access, domestic tourism, crisis management, promoting transformation, enabling technological developments, and recommitting to the responsible tourism agenda. Chair, you've already mentioned the white paper, and you've mentioned some of the developments and implementations that the department has made so far and the committee is satisfied with. Let's talk now about the challenges within the department and that the committee has now identified. Could you outline some of those challenges within the tourism sector itself and the department, and of course SA Tourism, that has been reported to the committee?
Some of them are the projects that have been constructed related to infrastructure, kind of projects that the contractors that were appointed by the department, or rather by the entity, they did the work that was not at a satisfactory level. So the department had to sort the assistance from the development bank in terms of assisting, because they have the skills that they can acquire engineering skills and other types of disciplines that are needed in terms of the completion of the product to a level that is satisfactory to the department. So the development bank is busy now rectifying those projects to the to their completion.
Yes.
The portfolio committee had an opportunity as well to receive a report and a briefing by the development bank. It came together with the department to the portfolio committee. There were also issues that were raised by the committee directed to the development bank, and there were the responses and clarifications that were made by the development bank were at the level that the committee can have a confidence that those projects, the department will, together with the entity, will see them through its completion. And at the end of the day, the communities will receive products that can be of the nature that the communities and the visitors can be satisfied with those kind of product when they have been completed.
Now, Chair, you just mentioned that, of course, the issue here with the completion of the infrastructure is the contractors that would normally start the work probably and then not finish it. Hence, the development bank now has taken over to ensure that these projects are completed. Did the development bank report on any sort of consequence management together with the department for these contractors that fell short of the commitment that they made to build and ensure that these projects are finished?
Yes, the first one is to put the contractor on terms, to give them the second chance that they rectify whatever the snags that are there on the development of those projects. And also some of them were cash flow related delays by the contractors.
Yes.
And you know, the upcoming contractors, sometimes it's a budgeting challenge, because the department, through the Reserve Bank, they pay on time. In fact, most companies or department, the payment is done within 30 days. But the Development Bank reported to us that they make payments on fortnightly, which is pay 2 weeks in a month. They pay twice a month, they make payments. Then the contractors will have a tendency of taking the money that has been paid and use it to another project that is outside of the projects of the Department of Tourism and the South African Tourism. It's like pay Peter, Paul to Peter.
Yes.
So we are, then the department becomes the victims of a good paying to the contractors. But they are in the process of making sure that that doesn't happen, because now they are being put, as I indicated earlier, that the contractors are put on terms.
Yes.
And if you are put on terms, we have to acquire on those terms. If you don't, then the third time you are being terminated. But you wouldn't blame anyone because you've been given a chance to rectify whatever that was not correct.
Now, with that, Chair, I mean, we know that we've heard reports that we know crime is huge in South Africa, and it also affects tourists. And of course, some of the concerns when it comes to tourist attractions is safety concerns for tourists. Can we please just talk about some of the committee's efforts and commitments in addressing concerns about safety and security for both local tourists and international tourists that tour South African heritage sites and tourist destinations?
Firstly, is that the Department of Tourism has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Police on issues of safety. But also the department has its own initiatives which are under the tourist safety. They have a tourist monitors program. They have also tourist safety forum.
Yes.
They also have established the mobile applications. That is an app that assists international tourists when they are in the country or they can just download the app during their visit and report any incident or suspicious incident that may come across, and then so that the forum and the police can respond swiftly.
Now, with that, Chair, you just mentioned some of the measures that have been taken. You have the Tourist Safety Forum, you have this app, which I think is very innovative. And of course, that then improves the law enforcement and emergency responses in those areas. Are we seeing an improvement since the implementation of these measures to ensure safety of tourists?
Yes, the feedback that we are getting from our offices and in other countries is that it does help. But not to say that there won't be any incident, but I think the department working together with the police, they are trying at their level best to improve on the safety of tourism, of tourists, especially during this peak hour between September and the festive season, because that's when the incidents tend to happen.
Now, let's change the focus a little bit, Chair, on the devastating effects that COVID-19 had on the tourism sector. Of course, we still feel it even now after years. And I just wanted to know, what are some of the measures that the department and its relevant entities have reported to have adopted to increase tourism and its contribution to the country's overall economic growth?
I think the working together with the Business Council of South Africa, the department is working together with the Business Council of South Africa, which is an umbrella body for the organized business on travel and tourism. The engagement highlights the value of the tourism sector in the South African economy. That also include the growth opportunities. However, there are several barriers that have been highlighted by the sector that involve the visa regimes that need to be improved. Some red tapes, there are backlogs in the approval process of the tour operators, like also vehicle licensing and tourist safety and then air access, to name the few that were highlighted by the Business Council when we had a meeting with them. But it's promising that we also, as a portfolio committee, indicated to the Business Council that we would like them to write to us if there are any other matters or issues that they would like to be assisted with by the minister, so that ourselves can make sure that that gets to the minister and is being attended to, and maybe on quarterly basis or twice a year, the minister can come back to us and say, at least we have improved on this and that. As I indicated earlier on, that it's important for the department to work with Home Affairs.
Yes.
Because it's Home Affairs that deals with visas, and air access is also Department of Transport.
Now, with that, of course, Chair, when you talk about visas and you talk about that's basically focusing on international tourists that visit our shores and visit our heritage sites and popular destinations. What about the local tourists? Has the department reported to the committee perhaps about any measures that they are trying to implement to ensure that travel and tourism for locals is inexpensive and that it's affordable and that we can all visit these different corners of our country as well?
Yes, but the bigger role should be played by provinces and the municipalities, because the local tourist destinations are ideally under the municipalities and provinces. So it's always a good thing that the minister is able to meet with the MECs. Various MECs in different provinces at a MINMEC to openly discuss these matters that you have referred to. But the bottlenecks or challenges are still at a municipal level, because they are the ones who control number of these areas. But with the district model,
yes,
it's now getting better, because the minister can now meet at that level with the municipalities and iron out challenges that are faced by our locals. But of course, the municipalities doesn't control police. That will still reside on the working relationship between the department and the police department.
Yes.
But municipalities, at least they do have their own, like metros, they
Yes.
have their own metro police. They can make a contribution on those. But also the employment of local people that are trusted by communities, because local communities, they know which areas that needs to be guarded most, and the routes that are traveled
yes,
by the tourists to those destinations. If we involve communities, like in forums that we have referred to earlier on, I think we can succeed on the safety of our local tourists together with our international visitors or tourists.
Chair, you beautifully highlight the importance of collaboration between all stakeholders to ensure that tourism works. Let's talk about the committee. Are there any plans to collaborate with other committees, such as the Committee on Police, on Home Affairs, to ensure that there is a working relationship between the different committees and to ensure safety for tourists, and to ensure that all these goals and achievements that the committee wants to reach for the tourism sector is then implemented and achieved?
Yes, there is a plan for that in our next year program. The first one that we have identified to meet with is the collaboration with the Portfolio Committee on Police. And I will think for the reasons that we have alluded to. And I think the second one also will be the Department of Home Affairs, I mean the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs and the Portfolio Committee on Transport. the importance of having joint meeting with the portfolios is that because of the Department of Tourism we were not responsible for the police.
Yes.
The portfolio committee that oversight the work of the police is the portfolio committee on police.
Yes.
And the portfolio committee on home affairs is the one that oversight the work of home affairs. So if we want to get through home affairs, we have to go via in collaboration with other committees. But it's easier for the minister because at the cabinet level, it's easy for the minister to relate as well.
Yes.
With the department that I've mentioned. So at an executive level, the minister will do that together with other ministers, which are our stakeholders, if I may say so. And at the level of the oversight, it's us and other portfolio committees.
Now, with that, Chair, I know that at the beginning we spoke about infrastructure problems as well. How is the committee then addressing the challenges of maintaining these infrastructures? Because at first we spoke about the building of infrastructure. How is then the committee addressing the maintenance of this infrastructure?
Well, there is also a retention fund on the budget of each and every project that is given to a particular contractor. That it's for after the project is reported to be, it has reached a completion stage. For few months, the department and the entity must monitor that there are no snags that have developed within the project, and if they are, then they use that retention fund that is held up. Because if they don't look properly, safeguard those retention funds, the contractors may have just used that money before the actual time that lapses, that now you can fully say that the project, the contractor can now be relieved from the coming back to honor that contract.
Now, the Portfolio Committee on Tourism is responsible for ensuring that the executive performs its functions, fulfills its responsibilities, and that money is spent in line with fulfilling its mandate. We are still in conversation with Ms. Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism. Stay tuned. You are still watching Parliament TV on DSTV channel 408. Join the conversation on all our social media networks at Parliament of RSA. We are still in studio with the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism, Mrs. Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe. Chair, of course, now we've spoken about the work of the committee. We've spoken about the reported challenges within the tourism industry and the committee's efforts in ensuring that these solutions are implemented. Let's talk about further development of the tourism sector. Now, when touching on development, promotion and preservation of the sector, Chair, we understand that the Portfolio Committee is aware of the need to further develop it and ensure that we have more tourists coming into our country. How does then the committee hold the executive to account and ensure and commit to ensuring that there will be further development of tourism in villages, townships, and small dorpies within the country?
The budget that is allocated to the department is precisely to cover all those areas. The rural areas, the townships, and small dorpies. Yes. For us is to make sure that the department does implement the empowerment of the historical disadvantaged communities. And the disadvantaged communities, will find them, the historically disadvantaged communities, you'll find them in those areas, in rural areas, in townships and small droppies. So when we monitor the budget on quarterly basis, on the money spent, the paper trail must tell us that there is money that goes to those projects.
Yes.
And the portfolio committee is very much alive in monitoring the spending on those areas of focus areas of the historically disadvantaged communities.
And then with that, Chair, of course, earlier on you touched on the important factor of collaboration. With that, how does then the committee ensure that local communities benefit from tourism development in terms of job creation and providing training to the locals and to support small businesses in tourism-related sectors?
The department has developed a program in the process of the development of those projects, that local communities, the percentage of local communities is employed as subcontractors, but also the community get trained.
Yes.
So that when the project is completed, there is something that is left behind for the community. So it's part of the contract on all the project contracts that are being implemented, that something must remain with the community, but also women contractors must be at a percentage that is acceptable by the government, and young people must also be absorbed and be given skills to be able to be employable in the tourism sector. That is part of the focus of the department as well.
And then with that, Chair, with regards to the protection and promotion of South Africa's rich cultural heritage, what are some of the initiatives that the committee has committed to preserve historical sites and support traditional arts and crafts and promote the culture of tourism in South Africa? Well,
part of it is to work with the department that are of arts and culture, because the heritage part of it doesn't fall within the tourism department. As you said, it's important to collaborate with other departments as well to preserve those important tourist destinations like Robben Island. And before, during the 6th Parliament, the tourism department was able to assist the Robben Island on some of the areas that was required by the Robben Island.
And Chair, does the committee have any plans on going on oversight to these tourist destinations to oversee and ensure that things are going as they should?
Yes, there is a plan. Early next year, I think before end of April, sometime in February, we should be able to go out. We wanted to go out to do some visits here in Cape Town during the first week of December, but the parliamentary program has taken out. Normally the oversight is given 3 days, but the program has since changed, that the 2 days have been taken away by the regular parliamentary sittings programs. So being left with 1 day, and the areas that we wanted to visit, we established that it will take us 3 hours to travel to those areas and come back another 3 hours, and they were left with very few hours on one day. But that still has to be decided by the committee.
Of course.
Whether they would want to take that one day in December or will put everything together for the new year.
And Chair, any final words of encouragement, any final words to South Africans to exercise responsible tourism, for the safety of tourists as well, and for the promotion of brand SA in South Africa?
Our message as a portfolio committee is that we would like to see every citizen of South Africa firstly considering to tour the South African tourism areas in almost in all 9 provinces. There are tourist destinations that can be visited. Let's tour our country.
Yes.
Let's spend the money that we have budgeted the whole year to spend on the touring our country. But also let's all be vigilant to protect ourselves and protect our visitors. And we are known as a very friendly country internationally. Let's keep that up. Whenever you bump to a tourist in a flight or at the airport, that's the first thing they say. One of the gentlemen who said to me comes from the US. He sent me to the president to convey a message that he was very happy to receive back 18 rand from $1. And he was asking me why President Ramaphosa is doing that. I said, because he wants you to come back and invest again on our country. But generally, we are really appreciating the tourists that are coming to our country from different countries, but also there are local tourists that do visit tourism areas within our sector, and we want to encourage others to do even more.
Thank you so much.
And have a very safe and good festive season.
Thank you
within
so
the tourism sector.
I appreciate the time, Chair.
Thank you to the viewers.
And that was the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Tourism, Mrs. Lungi Mnganga-Gcabashe, discussing the work of the committee, efforts to address challenges such as safety of tourists, growth and development within the sector, and the committee's commitment to the promotion of domestic tourism and brand SA. Now, as the custodian of democracy, Parliament's role and ultimate outcome is to represent the people and ensure government by the people under the Constitution. This is achieved by exercising oversight, holding the executive to account, and improving public participation and involvement. For more information on the work of Parliament and the Portfolio Committee on Tourism, visit our website at www.parliament.gov.za. To stay informed about Parliament's engagements, follow, like and subscribe on all our social media networks at Parliament of RSA, and have your say by joining the conversation and sharing your views and experiences within the tourism sector in South Africa. After all, it is your Parliament, your voice, your future. Thank you so much for watching Parliament TV. I am Tepo Mori. Take care.